Good morning, Lou here from Techno Loco, and the Apple event just finished. I'm still kind of in shock, and there was just so many things announced, so many amazing things announced, and I honestly it was a lot more than what I expected, or like I was talking about in the end of my last video. This is a big chance for Apple to kind of show the world that they're being innovative again, and I think this time around they did manage to pull that off. Maybe not completely innovative, but innovative in their own ways, and we'll get right into that. So the event starts off with Tim Cook arriving via carpool karaoke with James Corden. On the way to the venue, they pick up Pharrell Williams and they sing Sweet Home Alabama. So there's that. It was kind of interesting, a fun side to Tim Cook, if you will. And as soon as Tim gets on stage, he mentions offhandedly that Apple is going to be producing a couple episodes of Carpool Karaoke, and that's going to be debuting next year. So I think very slick, very subtle advertising there for Apple. Yeah, I think it was kind of fun. It was an interesting way to start the keynote. And as Tim does, he just went right at it, announcing a couple of updates to their ecosystem. They started off with Apple Music. Basically, they're now more than 14 million subscribers. And they were also talking about the work they're doing in the field of education, donating laptops, MacBooks, iPads to students, to teachers, just allowing them to be more engaged in the classroom. There also was updates to iWork, allowing instant or real-time collaboration. But I think the most interesting update they gave was during the App Store update, and basically they mentioned that there has been well over 1 billion downloads from the App Store, and the biggest portion of the App Store is dedicated to games. It's at this point where they bring out Shigeru Miyamoto, the inventor of Mario, and basically they announced a new Super Mario game for the iOS. I guess it's gonna launch first on iOS. Those were the exact words that they used. But yeah, Nintendo getting into mobile gaming, it's pretty interesting. So the new game is called Super Mario Run. So basically, it's the same Mario you grew up with. It's a side-scrolling thing. You jump, you collect coins, you hit things, you grow up. It looks pretty interesting. I am excited to play it. However, on iOS at least, they're saying it's a paid app. There wasn't an announcement when it's going to be available. I think it might be sometime in October. Though, to get to the meat of things, yes, they did announce 2 iPhones, the iPhone 7 and the 7 Plus, and the Apple Watch 2. The Apple Watch 2 is basically an updated version of their Apple Watch 1. They're now calling it the Series 2. And basically what it does is that everything's just better, faster. It's now water resistant, or it's what they call swim proof. But it also now has built-in GPS. What that means is it can work as a standalone device for certain things. They demoed an app called View Ranger, where basically you could use it as a hiking app, and it would be able to tell you where you were on your hike trail without having to use your phone. I thought that was pretty interesting, and it's something that really seems like they really are pushing the Apple Watch to its limits, and I think it's something that Apple has done before, pushing their devices to the limits and coming back just with great results. Another interesting thing they were also able to do they implemented in the Apple Watch 2 Series 2, was that you can now use a side button as a sort of emergency button. If you held that down long enough, it would send out a message to your emergency contacts, as well as dial 911. Now, the great thing about this thing having built-in GPS is that people can zero in on your location immediately. And they're saying it has a much better display. In fact, much better than any display Apple has shipped so far in any device. They also introduced a new material into the store. It's called ceramic. So basically, what we saw just as a render was a white model. I gotta say, it looked pretty sleek. And for people who want to rock like that, pure white look, I think it will work as a great accessory to that. There's also a couple of special edition Apple Watches being released. There's 3 in collaboration with Hermes. So they're basically fashion type bands, but it's still the same functionality as the Apple Watch. But I think the more interesting one is the Apple and Nike partnership, which produces the Apple Watch Nike Plus, an Apple Watch which is geared towards runners. So it's got a very lightweight frame and band, and it also has some very runner-centric improvements being made to it. And now for the iPhone 7 in the 7 Plus, and just as we expected, it is exactly like the iPhone 6s, 6s Plus. It looks about the same. Same sort of general shape of the body. However, I have to say that the lines and the finish is much more refined this time around. It looks like a grown-up version of the 6s and the 6s Plus. Let's just put it that way. Also, on the sort of aesthetic front there, it does have two new colors as we expected: dark black and that glossy piano black, which they're actually calling jet black, which I think sounds pretty cool. And I have to say that color option is amazing. It looks super duper classy. It's like as if an iPhone 4S had a baby with an iPhone 6s. And yeah, so basically the entire body is made of a single block of aluminum that's been machined to fit exactly the needs for the iPhone, so it's got that really nice fit and polished finish. The entire front is a single sheet of glass, just as you have with your iPhone 6s and 6s Plus. So now you have the 5 color options available: silver, gold, rose gold, black, and jet black. Jet black always gets my vote, always, every single time. And yeah, we're no longer going to be having a headphone jack. And on a related note, we are going to be getting in the box with the iPhone 7 a new pair of Earpods, which are lightning connector compatible. They're also graciously including in the box a lightning to 3.5mm headphone jack. So at least if you have a nice pair of headphones that only use 3.5mm headphone jack, that's at least something that you can use. On the front side of the device though, the home button is going to be changed forever. The little circle is still the same shape, but it's now pressure sensitive. It doesn't click in, and it only gives you a haptic or taptic feedback when you press it. So that might take some getting used to for some people, but essentially it functions the same way. So not really a lot has changed there. Probably the only biggest difference is this time it won't break so often. And yes, we got the usual spiel that it's thinner, faster, stronger. It definitely is slightly thinner because of the space they've saved by taking out the 3.5mm headphone jack. It is definitely, or they say it is definitely much faster. It now uses what they call the A10 Fusion chip. And basically what that means is that it is 2 times faster than an iPhone 6 or 6 Plus. And graphically wise, meaning in games performance, it performs 3 times as good. The words they kept throwing around is the most powerful chip ever in a smartphone. That remains to be seen. Benchmarks will tell the true tale, but you know, based on Apple's track record, it is gonna perform flawlessly. All this to say basically that there's going to be an improved gaming experience as well as improved experience when using pro tools, like things like Adobe Lightroom for mobile. And just as also we expected, the phone is also now dust and water resistant, IP67 certified, basically stating that this phone is on par with S7, S7 Edge, Note 7, all other flagships out on the market right now. Good move by Apple. That was something they were getting a lot of shit about. Certainly all the changes they made with this model definitely allow them to be able to do that. Another thing we have to cross off the list is 16GB phones. They will no longer be a thing, at least in Apple's side of the yard. Minimum size for all phones is now going to be 32GB, except for the iPhone SE, which for some reason they will still continue to sell. So the storage options for the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus go 32GB, 128GB, and a 256GB available for all models. That's kind of insane, honestly. I don't even know what to do with 256GB of storage on my phone. So I don't know. Is it gonna be useful really? I mean, I was talking about that, you know, it's always nice to have a lot of storage on your phone, but 256 might be a bit overkill, and with that sort of configuration, you're probably gonna be getting close to $1,000. So I don't know if you might want to spend that much on a phone. And interestingly enough, Apple is also going to be refreshing their iPhone 6s and 6s Plus lines and giving them 32GB of storage on the minimum, and 128 gigabytes as an upgrade option for the 6S and 6S Plus. Apple was being very generous this time around. They didn't kill off any product lines. In fact, they just kept adding onto it. So now the Apple iPhone lineup actually reads iPhone SE, iPhone 6S, 6S Plus. Then you have the 7 and the 7 Plus. That's a lot of phones they now currently have on the roster. Very un-Apple-like, I would say. And then we gotta talk about the cameras. And I think if there were things to highlight in this entire event, this would definitely be one of them. From the samples that they produced, and I mean, these are samples. The camera looks like it performs like a beast, like a boss. It is amazing in low light. It is mind-blowing in daytime or in good light. Just the basic specs. All cameras, all main cameras have optical image stabilization. They're saying they basically rebuilt everything from the ground up and made a new camera module. It's also sporting a new f1.9 aperture, which allows for better low light photos. The sensor stays at 12 megapixels for the back camera, for the main camera. Front camera does shoot 7 megapixel FaceTime HD. Both cameras now capture wide color gamut, which basically is to say that they now capture more color detail than before. Now also the back camera is going to be equipped with a True Tone flash LED. Basically it's a 4 LED flash, too warm, too cold. Yeah, apparently low light shots are amazing with this camera. We'll have to wait and see for actual samples, but it looks like it might actually be true this time around. And one other thing that I noted that they just mentioned kind of offhandedly is that it might shoot RAW now. So that's something that some camera apps, if they're designed to do that, can take advantage of. We really do have to talk about the second camera on the iPhone 7 Plus. So the first camera is a wide angle lens. It's a 28mm, so it's a wide angle lens. And the second one is a 56mm telephoto lens. Now, what can you do with that? Well, basically you can use the two different lenses to take different angles of the same shot, but they've also been able to use a new algorithm, basically, or part of their new software for the camera app, where basically the 56mm can get you up to a 10 times reach. Interesting. And the samples, they looked okay. I'm not gonna say they looked amazing, but at least now you have the ability to do that. I think that's interesting. It's not nearly as clever as the P9's color and black and white system, but if this works for people, it's gonna work for people. Okay, and they also kind of gave us a sneak peek on a very cool feature, which they're saying they're gonna update on the camera app in by the time late October rolls around. It's called Depth Effect. It basically uses the two cameras in tandem to produce a depth map. Basically, it lets you know, or it allows the camera to sense the 3D sort of depth of the image, like what's in front of what or what's behind what. And then it uses that data or that information to create a fake sort of shallow depth of field. It looks great for portraits. Basically the background is all blurry, kind of like this, what you're seeing right now. The background is all blurry, and usually you can only really achieve this using high-end DSLRs or bigger cameras, but their implementation looks interesting, looks very good. The Huawei P9 also does something similar to this, but I think it's just a filter that they apply, and they blur out, or they apply a Gaussian blur to the surrounding area. Now, I think we also have to talk about something magical. It was one of the rumored things that something magical would be announced during the keynote event, and yeah, I think something magical did get announced. It's basically what I call Apple first moments, even though if it's like an existing technology, but then when Apple does it, it's like, wow, it's the first time this thing has ever been done ever. And this time around, we are given the Apple Airpods. Now, what Airpods are, basically, they are earbuds that are wireless. Like, they don't have a wire that connects each of them. They just, one goes into your right ear and the other one goes into your left ear, and they transmit sound into your skull. But what makes them amazing, I think, is that how you connect them to your phone. Now, you basically take your smartphone, hover your Apple Earpods next to them, and that's that. It pops up on screen. If you'd like to connect your Earpods, you just hit connect and it's done. More information about the Apple Earpods though is basically that they run on 5 hours per ear. You can use them in stereo or in mono. There's an integrated microphone in the Earpods themselves, and interestingly enough, they also detect when they're in your ear. So if you're only using one Earpod or AirPod, it'll detect that and it will only transmit audio to that single one AirPod. You can also activate Siri from the device itself. You can double tap the AirPod and it'll let you talk to Siri. And if you do run out of charge on these things, it comes with a carrying case that'll charge them up real quick, and it's good for 24 hours for the case. So I think very nice integrated solution there by Apple. It's certainly something only Apple could get away with, and I think it's really cool. Just plainly speaking, it's kind of one of those things where you see it on Star Trek, and it basically, you're like, wow, I hope I get to use that one day. And then you get to today and you realize, shit, one day is today and we are in the future, basically. And a couple of odds and ends here, just relating to the product announcement. So they're saying that the Retina display is now 25% brighter. So the panel on front is going to be brighter. It still has the same 3D touch. It's now using a wider color gamut, so it can display the colors that your camera actually captures. And just basically everyone from the game developers to photographers to the Instagram people are just raving about how great the screen is. And I think this is something that Apple is very capable of doing, and it is something that they have done in the past. So I wouldn't have second doubts about it really being an amazing screen. Interestingly enough, audio is also going to be, for the first time, a stereo speaker setup is going to be available on the iPhone. The earpiece is now going to double as a loudspeaker also, as well, or in tandem with the bottom speaker. So you now kind of have a stereo setup when you have the phone in landscape mode. They're also saying it's basically 2 times louder, though I expect it's really because there are now 2 speakers rather than 1. Apple is also claiming that this is the iPhone with the longest battery life ever, saying that compared to a 6S, the 7 has at least, or on average, 2 hours more of usage available. That remains to be seen, and we'll have to wait for real-world tests before this is confirmed, though I expect it might be something that is actually true. On to the final part, which is pricing and availability. Basically, almost everything that was mentioned today, from the Apple Watch, the iPhone 7 Plus, the upgraded size of the 6S and 6S Plus, you can start pre-ordering September 9th, and they are gonna ship September the 16th. The iPhone 7 starts at $649 for the 32GB option. The iPhone 7 is gonna start at $749 for the 32GB option. The Airpods, we haven't mentioned the price on those, are $159, and those ship out in late October. Now, other things shipping out in late October, the Apple Watch Nike Plus is also going to ship out at that date. Also, it has to be mentioned that the jet black option for the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus only comes in the 128 gig and 256 gig configuration, so definitely a bit more premium pricing there. How many kidneys does a human need to survive? Nah. So yeah, if you are a true blue Apple fan and you really just have to get the latest, the greatest from Apple, there you have it. Start ordering on the 9th and expect your phone to arrive a week of the 16th. So I guess that's the entire event there. This video is getting really too long, but there's just so much stuff during the event, and I think, and going back to the question, is Apple going to innovate this year? I think they did. Between the implementation of the implementation of their dual camera setup on the iPhone 7, the power management things that they're doing to keep the battery usability high, with the Airpods and the lightning connectors and all these small things coming together, and just the wider color gamuts and everything. I think they are becoming more of an evolutionary company than ever, but the evolutionary steps they're taking this time, I think, are gonna come back and pay huge dividends for them. I think they really, I think this time around they really hit the nail on the head, balancing between technical specs and just amazing things, or magical, basically auto magical stuff that you can do with your phones. And I think this is gonna be a big hit for Apple. And honestly, after seeing the jet black iPhone 7 Plus, it's got me thinking Apple might be an interesting player this year. I know I'm gonna see a lot of people rocking the jet black option, for sure. And the low light capability of the phone seems kind of out there, kind of really amazing. All these things coming together, I think, yeah, this is the year of Apple. And next fall, or next year around in Mobile World Congress, Samsung and LG and everyone else better bring their A game, or else Apple's just gonna leave them in the dust. So yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts on the Apple event. I know it's a really long video, I'm really sorry about that, but man, I'm just kind of blown away right now. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are. How did you watch the event, or of all the things I rambled about earlier on, which of those things make you most excited for the iPhone 7? Is it the better screen? Is it the double camera? Is it the new color option? What is it? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And I gotta give a shout out to my previous video. It's right here. That was about some rumors and stuff that I heard about about the iPhone 7. Most of them, or no, all of them, proved to be true. So I guess we know who the reliable leakers are. And yeah, that's just click on through and show that video some of your love. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons down in the thing down there. And again, thank you very much for giving us a watch. This has been Lou for Techno Loco. I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm really sleepy. You guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.